I went on a last minute trip with my friend. His brother is getting married actually this weekend, and he had a bachelor party in Las Vegas that weekend. He invited a group of guys that he's close to, rented a house, uh, attended a show on the strip, messed around in Vegas, because in Vegas that's what you do, right? At least that's what you're supposed to do. Now, my friend Will had invited me to tag along. His girlfriend's a flight attendant with Southwest. And as a benefit, of course, her and people that she knows can fly on what is called a non-revenue flight to anywhere across the where Southwest flies to. But the downside of that is the airline has a rule that if you're going to fly non-revenue, it has to be a standby flight. Now, I'm not sure what people's opinions are with flying standby in general, but mine isn't very good, and I wouldn't recommend it, even if you get to fly for free, because I've had now a couple bad experiences with that. And when you fly standby, you're on a wait list. You're putting yourself in a position to fight other people to get on that plane. And it's not great. I was irresponsible last November for Thanksgiving, the week of Thanksgiving. I had a trip to Dallas and I flew American, missed my initial flight back to Los Angeles, and I was at DFW for over 5 hours. And that trip back home should have taken no more than 3. I missed my initial flight. I had to wait on standby, and I missed, I want to say 2 flights, at least 2 flights, until I was able to finally get a seat on that final one that took me home. But the day was going by, and there were limited flights flying to Los Angeles from that airport. And I was afraid that worst case scenario, I would miss even the final flight to LA of the day, and I'd have to wait overnight. And I would have more of an expense because I wouldn't want to sleep at the airport. I likely would have left, paid for a room nearby, and come back, of course, as early as possible the next morning. Similar situation happened during this trip. It was a great getaway, made the best of it, and it was fine until the return trip. We were at the airport in Vegas, and it's more difficult when you're flying with another person on standby. And we flew back that Sunday evening. And typically traveling is very hectic. There's high traffic on Sundays. People are mostly, I'm sure we're mostly leaving Vegas back home, wherever they're from. And flights were limited, flights were booked. And of course, we missed the initial flight back because there was only 1 seat available on the first 2 or 3 flights back. And my friend he wanted to wait with me. He wanted both of us to fly back together. He didn't want to leave me behind if he was able to get a seat. And I didn't want to do that to him. But then time went on, and he was starting to get agitated. He lives by the ocean, and he just wanted to get home. He wanted to get back to the comfort of his own home. He started getting frustrated, and people kept going up to the gate agents at the different gates for the flights we were trying to get on, and talking with the crew, trying to get on every flight. It was a wreck. Now, the story that I'm sharing, it's a real world situation that actually correlates to the video that I'm trying to post from the other week. And it's about how to deal with confrontation when you have a problem with someone, or you know someone has a problem with you, when there's tension between 2 people. Now, a couple of hours go by, and the last flight of the night from Las Vegas to LAX, we were trying to get on, and my friend Will got called onto the plane. He was next on the list. He was able to get on. He was so relieved, of course. He was talking to the ticketing agent, and he came up to me, he told me, said, "Nolan, I'm sorry, man, but I'm getting on this flight. I can't wait anymore. I want to get back home. I told them that I understood. Told them, go ahead, get out of here. I'll continue working on finding my way back. And we had a plan to where if I was going to miss that flight to, no, excuse me, completely messed up. Orange County. We flew out of Orange County, flying back there. That was the original plan. But then we started talking, and the plan, the worst case scenario would be that I would grab a flight, or at least try to grab a flight to Los Angeles, the next major metropolitan city to Orange County, the airport over there. Because it's a larger airport, of course it's international, there are more flights in and out of there, more options to choose from compared to Orange County Airport. And my friend boards the flight. I start walking around because I knew the next flight wasn't going to be for some time. He calls me, walking around the terminal, and he tells me that there's a seat available on the plane. He told me, run up to the ticketing counter, talk to the agent, and try to grab that seat. Which I did. I started heading back there. In life, sometimes you can't avoid confrontation with people. We try to, but sometimes people really piss us off, and we may piss others off without even realizing it. And there's tension, and we get angry with each other. Why? Only because of ego. It's as simple as that. We all have egos. If someone hurts our ego, we get upset, and we want to fight back in retaliation. It's normal. Mind you, I walk up to the counter, and there's one lady talking to the ticketing agent. And I start speaking in a firm, direct, but very respectful way. Telling the lady, oh, my friend is on the plane. We've been on standby. He's already on, and he called me letting me know that there is a seat available. Would you please allow me to get on the flight? Instantly, she gave me attitude. She was already upset to begin with. But she wanted to let her anger out on me because I had come up to her and I triggered her to snap at me. She was very tense, very stern, not very professional. Not very kind. She said, now I can't remember word for word, but along the lines of, you need to step aside and wait. You're on, if you get selected, I'll call you up. She was very short with me. I missed a fine detail. Right before that, at first, before she responded, she was talking to the other lady that works with another crew member. And she said, oh, we're talking right now. You need to wait. So she tried to shut me up by saying that. So I stayed silent. I sort of rolled my eyes a bit. And I really tried to stay patient, really tried to stay calm. The other lady walks away, I remembered. Then I told her what I had just mentioned. Then she responded the way that she did. Not great, not a great response from her. I didn't even have to think it through. I snapped. I asked her, "Why are you giving me attitude? What's with the attitude?" I didn't yell, but she proceeded to get offended by me because now I'm questioning her and I'm starting to try to fight back after she pissed me off. And unfortunately, she had that effect on me because I was beginning to also transition into a not very good mood, such as my friend, because I was getting worried. I was starting to overthink, and I was thinking that I was going to be stuck in Vegas for another night, which for no reason, unnecessarily. Her and I then proceeded to argue. It became a back and forth fest where the lady wanted to be very adamant on making her point that she was not in the wrong. I was being the aggressor. I was trying to cause problems. I was not listening to what she was saying. And it came to a point where she didn't want to deal with me anymore. She told me, "All right, I'm going to grab a supervisor and have her talk to you." I waited. The lady came. And she was a younger lady, middle-aged, and she handled the situation a lot better than the ticketing agent. She was willing to communicate with me, and she had asked me for my side of the story. And I told her what had happened, and I told her that I tried to make it very clear to the supervisor that I was not being rude. I was not raising my voice. I was not cussing. I was not threatening or becoming violent, as some passengers do. Some people, they get erratic. I tried to make my point to her. And she told me not to worry. She would get me on the flight, but she wanted to be sure that I wasn't going to cause any problems, any trouble. And I reassured her, no, I don't want to have a problem with anybody. I would like to be able to just get on that flight. And arguing with this lady felt wrong, Because this is an older lady. And I felt as though I was fighting with an aunt, or you could say my own grandmother. Went up to the counter with the supervisor behind the lady, and the lady was working on getting me on the flight, printing me out a boarding pass. But the lady still wanted to be a smart ass with me. And she made a comment where she had said, by the way, typically we don't let people on that are causing trouble or being disrespectful. And this was a tactic that she wanted to use. She wanted to use it in front of the supervisor because this is what people do. She wants to make herself look good. She wanted to try to twist the story to make me look bad. But I tried to remain the good person in the situation, or at least the better person, by remaining calm, communicating clearly and respectfully, but at the same time showing that I was upset about what was going on, that I was very disappointed, and that I felt attacked. I told the lady after she made that comment in front of the supervisor, said, I don't want to keep going back and forth with you. You're giving me attitude, but there's nothing else to be said. Let's just stop this. And if you're going to let me on that flight, I would greatly appreciate it. And other than that, I have nothing else to say. She kept silent. She was still not great because she was very upset. She must have hated me at that point. And she gave me my boarding pass, didn't say a word to me. She said, all right. Well, actually, yeah, she just exchanged a couple words. Said, here, go. And I didn't say another word to her. I just grabbed the boarding pass and walked to the plane. Now, after you fought with someone, typically you begin to feel a sense of guilt. You start to think and analyze what had caused the confrontation, negative confrontation. What the other person did that got you angry. What you may have done that got the person to behave in that negative way. And I started having these thoughts, reflecting on what happened once I got on the plane and during the duration of the flight. And I tried to understand, even though I felt that the lady did not handle the situation properly. There's a reason for everything. There's a reason why she was in a bad mood. And I had to think, well, okay, a lot of people today must have been annoying her, asking her the same question over and over. Hey, get me on this flight. She probably dealt with more demanding people, or people that were rude to her earlier in the day. And that's what caused her to be in such a bad mood already before I had approached her at the desk, at the counter. And I tried to understand the stress that she was going through and how I had contributed unintentionally to that stress by trying to get on that plane. But you're typically going to encounter, or you've already encountered this, when you're having a problem with someone's having a problem with you, someone's trying to instigate with you. You have to use a tactic. It's a psychological tactic where even if someone is cussing, person may be cussing you out, person may be yelling at you. You try to turn the problem onto the other person to make him or her look bad, feel bad, regret what they have done. And you can do that by asking the person, what's your problem? Why are you so angry? People don't want to be perceived in a negative light. It embarrasses people to be looked at as an angry person with a problem, person that's upset with you, that doesn't like you for their own reason, whatever that reasoning is, logical or not. Most people, and I'm going to repeat this, that I said this in the video that I'm trying to upload, but in case I'm never able to publish it, or for those of you that will not end up watching it, I'm going to say it again here, that most people will try to avoid, deny is the correct term to use, to deny what you're accusing him or her of. You accuse the person of being hostile or being in the wrong, but you have to do it in an opposite way from the way the person's acting. The person's yelling, don't yell. Be firm, but doesn't mean you have to yell or be aggressive. Let the person be aggressive. The other person is just going to look bad. Try to remember that. And usually the person will begin to calm down. Now, unfortunately, in this circumstance, this lady, she had too big of an ego. And she was not able to calm down in a timely manner while I was still in front of her at the airport. So she had continued trying to flip the situation to make me look bad. And who knows what she said off to the side to the supervisor to make me look bad. But that's what people do. That's human nature. When people get jealous of you, they're going to talk bad about you behind your back and then put on a fake smile in front of you, pretending as though he or she doesn't have an issue with you. Why? Because the person doesn't want to look bad. It doesn't want to be embarrassed by being the angry, negative person that has a problem with you, that's hating on you, as we say, being a hater. You have to have that mentality. Try to train yourself to have that mentality. And you'll more than likely think logically in a tense situation where you're bound to get emotional, and when someone else is being emotional with you, overly emotional and in an irresponsible way, by allowing his or her ego to make him or her angry and try to get defensive with you in whatever the given situation is. I'll leave it at that. This is not the best video that I've recorded. I'll admit to it, unfortunately. I knew that I waited too long to record this and that I would forget a lot of fine details from what happened with what I shared, but at least I was able to get this one out of the way. And always remember that nothing is perfect and nothing will ever be perfect. Repeat that in your mind constantly. When a given situation is not working in your favor, say to yourself, nothing is perfect, and nothing can be perfect, and nothing will ever be perfect.